Hey Ruby!
Hello.
Hello! Can you hear me? Hey
Yep.
Lauren!
Hi.
Cool! How are you both?
Pretty good.
What it's like 10 and 11 there just now?
Yep.
Yeah?
Um,
Awesome. Okay. So I don't know if we want to wait like a couple of minutes or ooh, what happened there? Or yeah, why don't you tell me if there's anything that you really would like to bring up today and we can add it to the list. Anything at all. Don't be shy.
um, I'm hitting some, I don't know if they're blocks, but questions that I'm coming up with. So lately, I've been doing these deep dives into writing,
Yeah.
2 hour blocks at a time. But I'm finding that the tone of it is kind of taking this dark approach. And what I don't want this book to become is like this manifestation of victim energy.
Okay. Hmm. Does it feel like victim energy? Sorry, we can open this up like later on, but I'm just interested right now. Does it feel like victim energy or does it feel like something else?
No, it's for me. It's like the uncovering of what it was, and I take responsibility in all of it. But I think if I'm thinking more from the reader's perspective of if they're seeing this, I don't want it to be this sob story of, that I'm setting up all of these situations or I'm revealing them as a way to excuse behavior.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like in the rest of your writing that you're addressing that in a non-victim way?
Yeah. So that's what's come up is okay, so this happened, what was the lesson learned and how has it kind of added onto the persona? So the labels, the expectations, the obligations. So
Yeah.
how has that served or how is that retracted or taken away from the process?
Hmm. Cool. Okay, well we can explore that definitely when within the group. Ruby, have you got anything that's coming up for you right now?
No, I'm just in to see what happens.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to start with a quote. I know Ruby, you've probably read it. It's from The Rainbow Way by Lucy Pierce, um, and basically, it's a little bit about this idea of how we shut down creativity, and how we can start to access it again. So it's how creativity shuts down, and it opens with a little quote by Leonie Dawson that says, "Art is not what you make it; it's who you are." Creativity comes quite naturally to most of us when we're young. We like colours and textures, to scribble and explore. The cool, squishy feeling of clay in our hands. The splashes of bright colour as we paint. The beat of a drum and the emotion of music. We're naturally programmed to immerse ourselves in the creative flow, in the process of doing, totally unaware and unconcerned about the end result. And then after the first few years, we learn to watch for responses to our creations. Turning to our mother, "Look, Mama," we say to our first art critic, showing her our creation with great pride and an open heart. And that's when it starts to change. How does she respond? Does it make us truly witnessed and appreciated? Or ashamed that we aren't good enough? Chastised that we've made a mess? Or is our work compared to that of an elder sibling? And then at school, we're told to colour in, but only inside the lines. Make things the right colour. All make the same art project. Be good Do it right. Don't make a mess. Stop. Now start. Write a story, but it has to be 1 page long, no longer or shorter, and about owls. And later again, if you carry your creative skills on, it becomes about theory, adulation of the great masters, and A grades. Somewhere quietly, unless we value it deeply, and come from a family that values it, or have a wonderful teacher who sees us truly, our creativity slips out somewhere by the back door as we get subsumed by grades and earning money, looking right and fitting in. One of the most powerful exchanges I had on this topic was with writer and dancer Julie Daly, a heroine of mine, who oozes creativity in her life and work. To the outside world, she is the embodiment of a unique and highly creative spirit. Her response truly floored me and illustrates just how much impact the judgment of others in our formative years can have. She says, I've had the hardest time reclaiming the word artist. I've done everything to push that word away. Everything. I'm realizing it because everything as a child pointed to that being my love. One of my happiest memories was painting in preschool. In the backyard, they had these big planks of wood on sawhorses, and they'd bring out a big roll of butcher paper. I remember putting my smock on and running outside, grabbing my paintbrush, and I loved yellow. I would just paint yellow all the time. It didn't have to be anything. I just loved seeing the yellow go on the paper. It's so funny. Those little things we do as kids. I didn't care if things were representational. It was just the joy. As I got older as a teenager at art club, the teachers were just like, this doesn't look right. You need to do this and that. And I remember just feeling so constricted and restricted. And I just stopped painting. So I didn't take art at high school because I couldn't be sure I'd get an A. I had straight A's, except one B in writing. And I was so upset because the teacher could subjectively say that he didn't think my writing was worth an A. And I swore then that I'd never be a writer. I'd never subject myself to that. I remember another time talking to my dad, sharing something with him that I was really excited about. He was a math major and computer scientist back in the 1950s. He was a very logical man. And he looked at me and said, but honey, that's just not logical. And I went silent and thought, oh, that's not valued. And so I ended up being a programmer. That shows how sensitive I was to being judged. My mother was a painter. Her mother was a painter. And her mother before her. 3 generations back. But I haven't ever really considered what it's like to have 3 women in my lineage be artists. I know it. I have their paintings in my home. I love it, but it's like I've dissociated from that part of me somehow. There's definitely some healing happening around this still for me. I have only just started painting again in the past year. So recently in this group I'm in, I decided I was just going to say it. I'm an artist. And they all started laughing and said, of course you are. They could all see what I couldn't. So the reason I wanted to read that today was because even though you're in this group and you have at least in part owned this for yourself, that you are a writer, you are writing, and you are creating every day, I think there are many parts of us that need to go through that healing process that may still be being suppressed or restricted to stop you from expressing your full self or your full story. And I'd love to hear from you, first of all, if anything resonated with you from that.
I think it's just all part of the journey, just whatever was planted in before you and was holding you back to this point, but who you were always meant to be was always there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's very true about the whole being an artist, and right when you're younger, school kind of wants to fit you in a box.
Mm.
You don't fit in boxes, right? So I vividly remember like our kindergarten teacher, you had to color and you couldn't leave any white spots showing, right? Like everything had to be colored solid through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Solid through and inside the lines, and it took something, and I know for me, I remember it shifting from like fun to now this is work, right?
Right.
This
Yeah.
is work and I have to get it right.
Mm. And it stops being fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that same. I'm getting an echo here, which is really annoying. But yeah, no, I had that same realization when I was at university, and I've always written. I wrote from the earliest I can actually remember. I wrote stories, and I had a big box at home full of my stories, and half written books, from a really young age. And all of my teachers said I was going to be a writer. Everybody encouraged me. And then at university, I got so sick of basically critiquing, all of our great works, all of our great authors, and tearing it apart and trying to figure out, what the author was really trying to say. And I just got so sick of it that it stopped me. It really killed my creativity dead, and I stopped writing completely. And I think it's so sad that we get to that point and we give up on ourselves, we give up on our creativity, and we give up on our true voice because we're scared that others will push us down, will put us down. So I'd love to know if there's maybe something in your writing that you are still resisting, that you're maybe just not quite open to just yet. You can take a few minutes to journal on this if you want to, just to think about it.
I still work on expressing my emotions through my writing, like fully expressing them. I've learned I've always been a real like force of nature, right? Like full on force of nature. And for years and years and years, and realizing more and more and more how much I felt I needed to temper that and rein that in and not let it out and not express it. And anytime there's a little glimpse of it, that pops out, it's often stamped on or, right, like made to feel like it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
So for me, transitioning, like doing my business and really stepping more into fully being that force of nature that I am,
Yeah.
it's still challenging to, even with the right audience, so to speak, like people that are going to resonate with that, it's still challenging for me to bring it fully out. It takes some sincere work on my channeling on my part, right? Like to really get around those blocks and veils that are in there.
Can I ask, how does it feel when you write something that is really raw and kind of brutal, and then you put it out there? How does that feel for you?
Now it's getting more comfortable. Before it was like, I'll put it out there and then I'm going to go hide because I don't want to see anybody's reactions. I close the computer and I go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Is there a sense though also of relief?
Yeah. And excitement. I would
Yeah.
definitely excitement, right? Like, yes, it's, I can't even describe fully what it is, but there's a definite excitement underneath there of like, it's out there. I'm fully expressed or beginning to fully express. And my spirit is inside, like happy dancing, like, yay!
Awesome. Yes. And so that's what to focus on, right? I mean, that's what you're aiming for, is to feel that clean, clear, excited energy, because that's you coming out. That's your true core coming out. And when we deny that, like even if it feels safe, there's definitely a deadening effect. So I know personally when I put something out and it's just not quite as much as I want to share, it just feels like, especially now, you know, it just feels lame. It feels really kind of like, why would anyone bother reading that, you know?
Not fully you, right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't quite make it.
Yeah.
I'm writing, well, and in the group, right? I've been writing copy for my website, which has been a big,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
a big block, and it's channeling through, and it's been awesome. But that last piece really was challenging to get through, right? Like it was just sort of like I get little pieces and little flashes, and it just wasn't gelling. And then yesterday I finally got it, but I was still sitting with it, and I'm like, something, it's not quite right. Like it's not fully there, and I don't know what's missing yet. And then so I reached out to a good friend actually this morning, and we bounced it back and forth, and then it came, right? Like it was just one word. I just needed one word.
Yeah.
That was it. And in changing that one word, it brought the whole piece and the whole energy and all of me into it. It was like I needed that one word to really be fully expressing and claiming myself and claiming my message.
Awesome. Oh wow, amazing. And yeah, that's why we have a first draft, you know, because we usually don't get it right first time round. And being okay with that first draft, you know, as a just something to start with, something to kind of play with and experiment and add things in and take things out, and not seeing it as part of your ego that you're tearing apart when you do that. It's so important. I used to write with such an editor, like online all the time. And I would literally agonize over each word as as it went down onto the page. And I would be thinking, is that right? Is that not right? And now, you know, if the right word doesn't come to mind, I'll just put down a whole bunch of words and I'll come back to it. But the essence, you've got to get the essence down, and then you can craft it and hone it. How are you finding? Well, actually, we'll come back to that in a minute. So, the other thing I wanted to kind of just talk briefly about was the idea of where you are creatively as well as a person. So, you know, it's easy to look at somebody that you really admire, and they're, you know, they've got their book out, they're doing their publicity, they're speaking, whatever it is, and just feeling like you'll never get there, or that you can't even imagine being that person. And of course, they had to start somewhere too. So in Lucy's book, she talks about 8 stages of creativity, and I just think this is really it's a really useful kind of measure to discover where you are right now and to be okay with that. So the first one she says is painting by numbers. So I love this. This is literally, you know, imagine yourself taking on a brand new creative thing that you've never done before, like wood carving or something, you know, and you really don't know where to start. So you've got a manual and you've got the steps right in front of you of how to use the tools and where to make your first mark and all of this kind of thing. So it's literally learning the basics. And then number 2, which I find so fascinating because there's so much in the online world about this, and it's copying. Copying. So when you get triggered by someone stealing your writing, or, you know, there are people out there who have stolen programs and stuff as well. These people, they're learning. It's, you know, I'm not condoning what they do at all, but copying is definitely part of the writing of learning your craft. So whenever we learn a new skill, like you're baking, okay, you copy, you do the recipe, you follow the recipe. And it's only when you do more and more and more, and you get more comfortable with the ingredients, and you start to work out what each of them does and how putting them together in different ways creates different effects, that's when you start to really own it for yourself and you really begin to understand. So the third is improvisation. That's taking a starting point or a technique and just starting to play with it. Composition is next, and this is where you're starting to develop your own more complex designs and ideas and planning and creating structure for yourself. Standalone work is number 5. Consistently creating work from your own inner well of ideas, refining your techniques and themes. At this stage, you will usually begin selling your work and or teaching. So I think we're all at least at that stage in this group. And then a recognized body of work where people can clearly recognize your individual style, use of materials and subject matter. You begin to become a respected authority through your work. Number 7 is internationally acclaimed, a world-renowned teacher, creative figure or artist. Your work will be widely recognized by large numbers of people outside of your field or niche. And this one, the ultimate aim for us all, maybe, historical figure. So your work is remembered, celebrated, referenced, and valued by many generations after your death. So
I'm not there yet.
Yeah. Where do you think you are on that list, just out of interest?
Maybe at 5.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Lauren?
I think I'm at improvisation right now.
Really? Why do you say that?
Yeah. I feel like I'm winging it most days. So
yeah. We all feel like that.
I enjoy the wing.
I think that's normal.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, wherever you think you're at, I think it's just important to acknowledge that and know that you're growing. Every day. So, Lauren, would you like to share some of your newly written book with us?
Sure. I actually just started jotting some new stuff down. So,
Cool.
I will say that what the book was before this group prompted me has changed and challenged me to go beyond the surface. So actually what I have uncovered is my resistance is this fear of offending other people,
Right.
Or disappointing them by telling their stories on their behalf. So I've been doing a gloss over and resisting going into detail. So that's what I'm challenging myself to do now.
Okay.
All right. So the way that the book is, I'm going to read just a chapter that I just recently wrote. So I've broken down the chapters, it's my story, into these critical points where shifts have occurred that had impact. So it's kind of this candid journaling entry and storytelling in between. So that's the premise. So this is the chapter of Birth to 5, Stability Shaken. When I was younger, I was the cute, spunky firecracker with deep dimples that could get her way in an instant. I knew at a young age how to get my way using my cuteness. I was the sparkle of my grandfather's eyes. He would prop me up in a stool and braid my super thin hair the way he learned in the Navy. He would use twist ties to keep my perfectly parted hair in place. I never remember anyone calling me smart. Clever, but never smart. My parents never should have been married. In my opinion, they never should have met or been together. My mom was a scared kid from an alcoholic home seeking love from anywhere she could get it. My dad was equally lost. His dad ruled with Navy discipline and never minced words when it came to the disappointment of his geeky, overweight son. I can't confirm it, but I'm pretty sure he struck him on multiple occasions. So where do two early 20-somethings with a pile of problems meet? Self-help workshops. My dad was quite the playboy in his early years. He was a vegetarian and practiced meditation. He was insanely smart and could pontificate for hours on scientific theory. The ladies ate it up. My mom was one of them. My parents weren't together long when my mom got pregnant with my brother. After terminating 2 pregnancies prior and having the strong arm of my grandmother, my dad's mom, telling my dad to do the right thing, they were married. My mom was 6 months pregnant as she walked down the aisle to exchange vows with a man stinking of booze who she had just walked in on making out with another woman. Two young lost kids forced to be adults. What could possibly go wrong? I was born on September 24th, 1983, the oopsie baby that kept them together for another 4 years. My mom tells me it was an Indian summer. I was born in a birthing center at 10:24 a.m., the perfect time. Everyone was already moving through their day. It was an inconvenience to hear the news of my birth. It was fitting for the child who created accommodations for others. My brother was born almost 2 years earlier to the day. If you want to create immediate sibling rivalry, this is almost guaranteed strategy to do so. We lived in Brownbrook, New Jersey for a short time after I was born. I don't remember much about this house, but I do remember having the newspaper clipping of me as a chubby 6-month-old blob working with my mom. In the 80s, they loved the happy stories of a modern working woman being able to juggle motherhood and a successful career. My mom worked at a nonprofit that encouraged their employees to bring in their small children. I was an easy baby, easy to give a smile or a coo to anyone who would come around and pick me up. Now that I think about it, I had the hardwiring already installed for what was to happen later on. End scene. So that's just that part of that chapter.
Wow. Powerful. I love the way you write. It's so punchy. And it really gets that message across. So how are you getting on with the editing at this stage?
It's so what I'm doing is putting the stories down and then working back in where I feel like it's falling flat. So in making, I like the punch, to the point.
Yeah.
This is what it is. I don't do well with flowery language. It's not my thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not you. And it is so powerful as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It feels strange to me because I've had people read it and they have a very emotional response to me, but because I lived it, I feel almost detached, like I'm reporting from the outside.
Yeah. It is emotional. You know, you can relate to it. You can connect with it very easily. I can see that with the way that you're writing it. I can see it happening. I can see it unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you know, it's easy for others to relate their own story to that as well. So, yeah, I can see it being emotional for your readers. And I guess that's, as a coach, that's something you want to be able to address at some point. So you're taking them on that journey. You're opening them up. Where are you taking them?
Yeah. Well, so that's why this whole, what I wrote down is the arrival. So that's me being born, coming into this space with this already established story from my parents and the family. The facade that was created through all of this and trying to maintain this perfection. Then the gloss over of what was actually happening. Then the challenge to that. So when the gloss over was no longer acceptable, then my wake up. So when I turned to coaching and basically woke up to, holy crap, what have I been doing?
Yeah.
The uncovering of the true story, and then the establishment of the true self into power.
Awesome. I haven't had a chance to look through it yet, but I'm definitely on it.
And bother at this point. It's like it's so insane at this point compared to what it was.
Oh, amazing. Oh, so you're tell me again what you're struggling with.
I think it's just giving myself the permission to go there. So I was talking with friends last night because, I want to do speaking. And so my niche with coaching is with nonprofits. And I'm thinking there's no way I can sell this book to corporations and things like that, because it's like the full exposure of me, as opposed to like maintaining that I'm the leadership coach and here's who you come to. So I feel like I have to be clear on who the market is and who the target is for this, and have it be, yes, it's part of me, but this isn't part of my 9-to-5 focus.
Right. Yeah.
It's allowing future literature to come out so that I can speak clearly from that checkbox zombie voice.
Yes.
Within the office contracts or wherever it's going to go.
Yeah.
Whether it's relationships or family dynamics or things like that.
Fab. So I mean, with that view in mind, then, you're beginning to speak about it. Does that help you lose the filter?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And what about sharing it with your current audience? How like your corporate audience, how will that go down for you?
It's more along the lines of corporate clients. I'm fine if they read it, but I think it's another thing if I'm promoting them of this is, all my baggage, come and read it.
Yeah, sure.
This is who you hired.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's just like, and I've told people this, that I'm okay with this coming out. Whoever buys it or reads it is one thing. It's not about me being reliant on the outcome of releasing.
Right.
But I got to unpack it.
Yeah. In all honesty, this makes you a three-dimensional person. You're feedback's really annoying. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking. Ruby, have you got anything to say?
I'm just back to jump out for a
Okay.
council business. Gotta love it. Worse when I jump back in. Did I screw this up?
No, it just seems to it's gone again now. It's weird. It's Skype.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this is really just, it's just a place for us to kind of bring out anything that is worrying us, that is stopping us, that is holding us back, and also sharing our work and kind of where we're at right now. So, and also to meet each other.
Yes.
Yay.
Because
I think, well, I was just saying, I think in terms of my work, like already just that, like my website copy, that's been waiting on me for a ridiculously long amount of time
Yeah.
to redo it, right? And I think just having this group and this space and it really just helped me to have the structure and to allow myself to channel
Yeah.
and let this stuff come through and know that I had sort of people with me that would get it, right? So
Yeah.
that's been really huge, and I'm excited to see where the rest of the writing continues, right? I know at some point there's a book inside because I've had far too much go on in my life to not have a book that needs to be shared, right? But I'm exploring the web copy, and then I'm going to dive more into articles, blog posts, short stories, maybe a little more poetry. I haven't done a lot of poetry in a very long time. So I think, well, I know as I get more comfortable just expressing all of that stuff in there that the poetry will flow out. So my goal is to stay out of the way, not critique it and let it come out.
Yeah, just play with it. Really, just allow it. You know, that's what happened to JJ, was that she came on expecting to write a few emails and blog posts for her funnel, basically, and suddenly this poetry came out, and it just all flowed out, and I pushed her to get it published, and she got it published and put it out there. So
so awesome.
Just having that, it's part of allowing it for yourself, basically.
Yeah. And you holding the space and with the energy alignment and the work that you do to help us in that, I've makes such a big difference.
Thank you. That's the whole point.
I love the prompts. I love color prompts.
Cool. So you know, I'm just kind of coming up with those basically on the day, how I feel like. So I'm really learning to get into that space myself of going with what feels, so kind of sinking into my own way of knowing what I want to get out of you guys and to kind of help you achieve on your own journey, but also just tuning into that and figuring out what it is you most need right now, rather than having like a rigid structure. So I think it's going great so far. I'm really excited.
It's going awesome. You need to own that. You're working really good magic here, lady.
Thank you.
Own your magic.
Oh, I love you. Thank you so much. Anyway, I don't want to turn this into a love fest. So.
Go dig.
Is there anything else? Anything else before we wrap up?
Nope. No, I'm good. This was really lovely.
Awesome. Okay. Well, it's all recorded, so you can watch it again. You can share it. Share it. We're going to share it in the group. It's going to stay in the group. It's just for us, and we'll make sure we have another one. I'll put up space for an agenda a little bit. This was a bit kind of, sudden, but I'll put space up for an agenda for the next one to see if there's like specific things we want to really kind of chat around. But awesome. I think it's great just to keep it kind of free for whatever comes up on the day as well. So great, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day, both of you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, bye.